Hello, Blues. Everton winning 2-0 at home to Mansfield in the League Cup. Come on. Another 2-0 victory at the Dickinson Stadium. We want your comments. I'm Stevie. I'm your host. Been a little bit out the loop for the last few weeks, but following all the exciting news. And of course, it's great to have your company this evening. I'm going to be joined by, I believe, Basil and other members of the team that are coming outside the ground. And of course, right now, we are still waiting for the third round draw. And that is because Manchester United have managed to push their tie at Grimsby to a penalty shootout. And that game is still ongoing. But Blues, lots to talk about from this evening. It was rather flat, wasn't it, from an atmosphere point of view? But of course, we did the business and we managed to get the result that we needed, which was, of course, 2-0. And Everton huffed and puffed for most of that game, controlling possession with a few really good performances from the side. And I'm going to be taking you through how I saw the game. And we'll be going through some comments. So, as I said, we'll be bringing you the live draw in just a few minutes. We're just waiting for confirmation to see that Manchester United have gone through. And in fact, Basil is here. Evening, another 2-0 win. How do you react to that?
Evening. I nearly had the cupboard door just hit me in the face in my room, so apologies for the delay. Everton's through to the next round. How do you view that? Is that positive? Obviously, that we're through and a decent performance, but also, I can't help but say here with a bit of trepidation that we should have really won that game by many goals, which is a good sign, but we didn't. We were pretty much 1-0 up to 88 minutes, and against the League One team, it is slightly bemusing after signing all these players and the optimism and it being our first cup game and the atmosphere meant to be up for it, and it just didn't seem to quite work in front of goal. But we are through and we beat Mansfield, what was in front of us, and it was a good performance, a solid performance. It just lacked a bit of clinical final third edge. I don't know what you said before I came on, but I imagine similar thoughts, or you got a different opinion?
We only just got going actually, and it looks like Manchester United are on the verge of being knocked out by Grimsby. We're down to it's 4-4, I believe, and Grimsby have got the final penalty and they've scored. Manchester United are out, so at least we don't need to go through that ordeal, the penalty shots, and of course, for much of that first half, it did look like this was one of those games where you can keep puffing and puffing with all the possession, but at what point are you going to actually get the breakthrough? And of course, because we went in 0-0, you're starting to think, well, how and why has it ended up like this? And of course, there's quite a number of things we can go through, but the main thing is if you've just joined us, maybe you're still coming out, Hill Dickinson is Everton's late kickoff and first game under the lights has ended with the Blues victorious once again by the scoreline that we've had in the last two competitive fixtures, home to Southampton at the end of Goodison, and then the home match against Brighton at the weekend, which we were both at. But tonight we didn't get up there because we live down south. But if you were in the game or whether you watched on Sky Sports Plus or some other means, do get in contact. Make sure you like, subscribe. We're with you all season. Basil, let's start by going through kind of the team news and the way it's shaped up. I mean, I was thinking before the game that it really couldn't do an awful lot in terms of making drastic changes because we just don't have the numbers. I'm going to put up the teams as they came up, but Everton shaping up with a bit more balance in the sense that we had a bona fide left back in Mikalenko, who I thought played well today, and then McNeil started. I was surprised to see Grealish starting again. How did you react to David Moyes' selection ahead of the match?
It did surprise me a bit that Grealish was starting. I mean, I was kind of pleased, obviously, to see him playing again after such a good performance on the weekend. But it was slightly odd, but I can kind of see it, and Di had picked up that little niggle, and so did Tim. So I can kind of see where he's gone with this lineup and trying to give Barry, a slightly easier opposition to hopefully get his first goal and break that duct. And Mikalenko back straight in, but no Asnu, which I don't know what's going on there, and no Chimiti. So there was a couple of interesting omissions. We'll have to wait and see if it was injuries or niggles. But the team looks solid, and he made 6 changes. I mean, so many times Everton have played over the years, not made many changes. We usually go pretty strong in the cups because the squad is so thin. I mean, it's still pretty thin, but we usually make not many changes, like 3 or 4, and then we go into the match at the weekend and end up losing it. So I'm kind of pleased to see 6 changes, but also retain a bit of quality across the team. And it did come through in that first half.
Just to interrupt you there, some good thoughts about the team lineup. I don't know what happened because I don't have the sound on, but it's still in sudden death. Manchester United haven't been knocked out. It's 7-6 at the moment on penalties, so we haven't got that cup draw coming just yet. But we also have Manchester United still hanging on with the skin of their teeth. Barry obviously given another star. Coleman coming in, it's the obvious game for him to be playing because you would think that in terms of yards of pace and ability to control the ball, this would be an ideal game for him to come back. Of course, his first at the new ground. And I suppose the other thing that happened before anyone kicked a ball in this game was that the kickoff was delayed. And I think much has been said about general access issues, but the ticket issue was also one that came up where people were unable to get access to their tickets. From what I experienced, tickets coming on to my portal, season tickets disappearing, and friends and family not receiving their tickets. So God knows what it was like before the game, but access is not amazing and still a work in progress, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what's happened with the tickets, but I kind of feel like because this being a cup game, because there's a lot of different people going the game, and arguably some season ticket holders who wanted to give their tickets to friends and family to experience it for the first time. There has been some difficulties getting the tickets, and these emails are coming through with no, just issues to get these tickets onto your phone. And let's hope it irons itself out. But Everton put a statement out saying kickoff's been delayed. But I mean, we all knew what that meant was Everton didn't get their fingers out and sort the tickets out in advance of this game. That left it far too.
Yeah, if you've just joined us, of course, we're reacting to Everton's win 2-0 against Mansfield Town, the first fixture Everton playing Mansfield in all of the years, and of course the first one under the lights. Just talking about the delayed kickoff, which for me didn't seem like a surprise, having witnessed some of the things that have gone on in the last few days. But we've got to stay positive because that's another 2-0 win, clean sheet. The Blues still yet to concede at home in the new stadium, which is good. Long may that continue. And of course, the next home game is the Aston Villa game. But we are waiting for the third round draw with ties to be played week of the 15th and week of the 22nd of September, that dual week situation that we saw in previous years where anyone playing in Europe will not necessarily play for that week. Penalties are still ongoing. It's 9-8 to Grimsby, who were 2-0 up, I think, in the game. It's quite an interesting game. I mean, at times Everton's game was not that exciting, but this one certainly has caught the attention for anyone that has been following it. Very typical cup tie. It's just gone 9-0. We had the delayed kickoff, and then of course it didn't look like it was the same atmosphere from what I could pick up as it was at the weekend, and I think I anticipated that it would be like that, and it wasn't for long before Mansfield Town fans cheekily called it a library. I mean, it's the League Cup is the issue. The fact that it's quite hard to get up for a team that is expected to win. Where do you see that whole atmosphere coming into play? Because it does give you the 12th man when it works well, but it felt like everyone was really just kind of there expecting Everton to, especially with that lineup, walk all over Grimsby.
Yeah, I've been going to Goodison consistently for the last 14, 15 years now, and I think the trends have been the same in all that period. That Everton, the crowd is up for big games, and it's on top of the opposition, makes it really difficult. But when we play teams that we're expected to score against, or these sort of lower level cup games, it can be a bit subdued, and I think that's carried itself a little bit into Hill Dickinson tonight. But we'll have to see when we get the perspective of Ryan or Mabsy or one of the ones who's gone the game, if they come on, or maybe Jan, I think he's gone as well, if they say something different. But it did feel on watching through Sky that I don't know, because they control the sound, don't they? They control all the output, so it's very hard to really judge it. But I couldn't hear much crowd. I could hear a bit of away crowd. So I did sense what you sensed, but we'll have to get the perspective of anyone else. It was Grimsby Town, and I think everyone kind of waits for that first goal, and then there's noise and stuff. And I think that the key thing is to try and score early in that sort of game, which I'm sure will come on.
Thankfully, Basil, it wasn't Grimsby, because they're still 11-10 up against Man United, and I don't think I could be on the other end of this penalty shots. They're actually going to round 12, so every single player has taken a penalty. Every single player looks to have scored, from what I can see, and including keepers and their background again. So I think we've seen this once before in recent memory. I think it might have been a cut final, maybe with the RS. So we should move on really to some key talking points, because it looks like anyone at Grimsby Town is going to be there with their sleeping bag, and the cup draw is probably going to end up taking place sometime in the early hours at this rate. I thought that Alcaraz was the outstanding performer for Everton, personally, not just his goal. And he started well with a really good shot that produced a great save from the keeper in just 12 minutes, stepping inside with a curling effort that was really high quality. Alcaraz seemed to just pull the strings and looked like he was in the optimum position.
Yeah, he was really good today, Alcaraz, for that sort of 70 minutes till he kind of burnt out. Yeah, I think a lot of that came down to Grealish occupying multiple men, and there's plenty of space for him. And I think I don't know what's going on in the United game.
It's just off the bar. Yeah, I think that's over now.
Is it?
It is. Wild celebrations. Manchester United are finally out, unless they look at this on VAR. Pitch invasion. It's just quite incredible. Classic scenes, giant killing. Manchester United have been knocked out at Grimsby after coming back from 2 behind, drawing level, and it looks like it will be Grimsby's one of their most famous, if not their most famous, win here tonight at 10:15 p.m. We bring it to you as it is. Alcaraz doing really well, and of course he does have more space, as all the players do, and that's because Everton look better in transition. They have players that can move the ball about and dribble, and we've gone from this side of static gnomes to a side that look like they have probably more creative players than they need at once. We probably need to kind of take stock of how much creativity we have, and maybe think, wow, this is a big change from that side that we're predictable to play against, and it will eventually come good.
Not as predictable, but there's certainly still a one-dimensionality when it comes to the agility and the pace. Undai is probably the exception to that. He has the ability to kind of go past a man with a bit of a burst of pace. But the creativity and the interplay was quite impressive. But you've got to look at the opposition as well, and it's exciting. I think the key point here is that Alcaraz plays in the 10. Don't play him on the right wing. He's not a right winger. He's not a left winger. You put players in the wrong position and then judging them is, it's not the right thing. I think he is a creative number 10. Feed him the ball, he'll play the 1-2s. Don't play him too deep. He might give the ball away from time to time trying to do something creative. But in that 10, yeah, he's really good. But I don't know how that translates into the next game. I mean, we can come on to that at the end, but how, I'd say he was man of the match for me in this game. And, he has to come into the thoughts for that next game, but I don't know how that works in terms of Dewsbury Hall being rested for that 90 minutes is obviously a sign that he's going to play that next game and address the game, just freshen up that midfield. But he put in a real stellar creative display there today, linking up with the different Everton players and at the centre of a lot of things that went well.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that you need these playmakers to build fluency with the teammates. And we even saw Ndai come on as well. And then, of course, Tyler Dibling made his debut. So there's plenty still to dig into there. But just two other things where we're talking about the first half. There was a corner on the 18th minute, which Tarkowski got his head to, I think, at the back post. It was a kind of a half chance from a really good delivery. And then Grealish had a shot just before half time, which was right-footed, curling inside, because he just cut inside in his kind of favoured position and just inside the penalty area. And his right foot effort was met by the keeper. So Everton going in at half time, and of course at that point you think for all the possession and the kind of strength in their lineup, we are facing the fact of it going straight to penalties if we don't find the back of the net. And how likely did you see that as being an option at that point?
Well, I still had confidence that we would come out in the second half and find a goal, or at least have the players on the bench to freshen it up with fresh ideas and find a way of getting that goal. I think that first half, a couple of other key moments. Jack Grealish, he was always faced up 2v1, so it was difficult for him to create things. But in turn, he makes space for others. There was a very nice bit of interplay. Jack Grealish, he finds McNeil on the sort of edge of the box. That should have really been a goal by McNeil's standards. He should be just slotting that. And a very similar chance that James Garner has. Not James Garner, it was Grealish himself on the very similar position, but on his right foot, the ball bobbled in front of him. But a player of his quality, you just think he's going to just find that left-hand corner from there. So two decent chances. You would have thought maybe one of those at least would be a good shot on target that could possibly have been a goal. And as you said before, the Tarkowski was getting in at the back post, but I think Mansfield defender really tracked him for every corner. He could have had a hat trick if he hadn't have been so well marshalled by their defender. Good deliveries tonight from Garner and McNeil. So there were chances. It was a bit frustrating because as the game goes on, you can see that they grew into it defensively. They were strong, and they put Ben in front of bodies on the line, made it really difficult. Everton probably not playing quick enough, but at times, they found chances, and it could have been a few ahead, but they weren't. And as you said, it went into half time. It was a bit like, this is getting a bit frustrating to watch. Why can't Everton just put a chance to bed?
That's right. If you just joined us, Everton winning 2-0 with goals from Carlos Alcaraz and Beto, the substitute, with 2 assists from Harrison Armstrong. Blues going to the third round after this first match under the lights at the Hill Dickinson with a crowd of 48,583, who saw Everton finally get the breakthroughs that they needed in the second half after a frustrating first. Of course, we'll be bringing you the cup draw just a few minutes. And we were just talking about half time, and I thought I had faith in David Moyes, and I thought that his lineup was right, and the players stood up to the test. It's never easy when you're overwhelming favourites at home in midweek, such an early stage in the season. League One and Championship sides have played more games. Actually, I believe this might have been Grimsby's 6th competitive game of the season. Of course, the breakthrough did come. We didn't have to wait very long in the second half, and it was a sigh of relief really when it went in. And it was a quality effort, wasn't it, from Alcaraz? Do you want to talk me through how you saw the goal?
Yeah, I saw it just lying down on my bed with the iPad facing up. No, yeah, it was a smart bit of interplay. It took me by surprise a bit because I did feel like getting into 50 minutes, 54 minutes, or whenever it came, it was going to get drag on till 70, 75 minutes. And it just came out of nowhere a little bit. But it was really quality play. I think it was Coleman involved, and it was down the right-hand side. It got put into the box. It was like a lot of space for the Everton attacker. I think it was Harrison Armstrong who got it, and you just think he'd shoot, and he just doesn't seem to be able to get a shot off, but he lays the ball back at a nice weight, and Alcaraz just bends it, just really whips and bends it outside of the post into the post, and yeah, it's a great finish, isn't it?
It is. It's a quality effort. When it hits the net, you're kind of surprised. It was just a really nice curling effort, and the sort of goal that you want to see as we begin to create memories and experiences at the new stadium. And of course, that did really settle the team down. I thought that at that point gave us a bit more license with the freedom. You've always got that element where the longer the game goes in, the more Mansfield have a chance to kind of come into the game. And although that they only had 34% possession of the match, with Everton dominating the ball for most of it, you just have that kind of looming sense of those years gone by. But this is a new era, and one in which we are kind of building momentum behind. If you've just joined us, or maybe you're a regular subscriber, thank you and good evening. Myself, Basil, bringing you live reaction from Everton's 2-0 win at the Hill Dickinson against Grimsby Town, against Mansfield. So I'm turning to you, Basil. And we're waiting for the news from the third round draw with the ties coming up in September. We'll have more news on that in a few minutes. And of course, unless you've been just joining us right recently, Manchester United losing on penalties. I think they lost 12-11 in the end. But the main thing is that they're out, and Everton didn't need to go through penalty shots to go through to the round, which has given us a bit of a sigh of relief. We've all been there, and we've seen some nightmare cup matches. We'll be going through to the comments in a minute. Just picking up from the first goal, we did see a raft of substitutions in the second half, and that does really change it. But it showed that Everton have more strength and depth. Barry going off for Beto, held up the ball well, but struggled to make the breakthroughs. And Everton do need to make sure that they have strikers worthy of putting the midfield, giving the midfield the final finish that is deserved. Grealish also went off. Grealish started this game, and his map of what the coverage was mainly hooking the left-hand side, but he did drift over to the right. It looked like he had license to cover the centre and the right more than he did in Brighton. So slightly experimental from Moyes today in that kind of Grealish role, giving more license. Of course, you do have that in these sorts of games. And of course, Grealish is good because he creates space for other players, as Dave pointed out. And Dibbling comes on, makes his debut. Do you have any thoughts on what you've seen from the young lad? I mean, he's only had maybe 1.5 days of training even before this game.
Yeah, I will come on to him. I just want to build up what you're saying there, because I was going to come on to the same point. It's interesting you picked up that about Grealish getting inside those pockets before he was subbed. But against Brighton, obviously, we had no left back, so Grealish was, the instruction must have been just stay wide. And you see in the shots where Everton out of possession, Everton in possession on the right hand side, Grealish is still always staying far out as wide as he can, hugging that touch line and waiting for the switches over. But today, as you said, he picks up pockets, Mykolenko on the overlap, and we got to see that bit of chemistry for the first time of what a left back and Grealish might offer Everton. And in terms of dribbling, yeah, he came on, didn't he, for Grealish, and Beto came on for Barry, who was looking very tired. I don't know. I didn't see an awful lot of dribbling today. You know, a lot of people are picking up on McNeil's kind of subdued performance, but I mean, I didn't see any more from dribbling than McNeil did, to be honest. But it is his first game, and you know, I'm sure he will come good. I just personally would have liked us to sign like a right winger with a bit of speed, like a bit of like I'll run it and I'll kick it and run it type, where he's more of a dribbling linker up playmaker, which is obviously great to have on the right hand side and in the squad. But I still think we need that bit of pace. Yeah, he's only 19. Some nice touches. He didn't really give the ball away. Just kept it tight. He did what we needed to do, which was see the game out. Don't give the ball away. Keep it moving. So, and he picks up some interesting spaces in the half pockets between the defenders and midfield, which is good to see. So it's promising. Let's see. What did you think? Did you have any particular thoughts?
Yeah, you're right that he's not like where Grealish would hug the left-hand side, and nor is he going straight down the channel. But I don't think you get a player that does all of these things. And I think Everton identified that they probably want fullbacks that can overlap a bit. And I think what you picked up on earlier was Mykolenko giving a lot of balance to the side, and I think he completed 84 minutes. Did really well in the game, actually played really well considering this is the first game back from injury. Allowed Grealish to link up well on that side. And I think maybe what we need to see with dribbling is, and whether we don't know whether obviously Coleman could be on his final year now, and whether they have plans to bring in a right fullback that can bomb on a little bit, allowing dribbling to come inside. I mean, you can't be playing all of these players at once. I very much doubt that you'll be playing dribbling, Grealish, and Alcaraz, and McNeil all on the same side. So you're probably going to be playing maybe 3 of those. And we've got fullbacks that kind of have that link-up play. And you know, we can't judge the lad on such a limited amount of I mean, he's barely been integrated into the squad. But of course, we knew he was coming at some point, and I think we just stood off on terms of the bidding and didn't want to get sucked into it, left it to the last minute. I think we can judge him after half a dozen games when he's had chance to get up to speed with what Moyes wants from him. And he's going to learn a lot from players like Grealish and Ndai, who are more senior but can actually provide that kind of guidance. But is he going to hug the touchline like Alexanderson? And he's certainly not Kanchelskis. Different type of player, but does like to dribble. And of course, he didn't have a bad debut and probably came on at the right time. Another good decision from Moyes, because actually Everton did get the breakthrough and did get the second goal eventually, which has kind of put some respectability on what would have otherwise looked like a fairly lame scoreline against a League One side. But of course, we'll be coming to comments in a minute. The second goal, while we're on the subject matter, was from Beto, who looked absolutely delighted, and he seems to be moving about a lot better than he did at Leeds. He looked absolutely thrilled with his goal. It was a tap-in, but the good work came from Garner, who played a delicious ball through to Harrison Armstrong for his second assist. And it was just a tap-in the big south stand for Beto, but did mean that Everton had a comfortable 4 minutes of injury time. We did have a chance, of course, at the end. Do you want to just talk me through Garner? And it was really, he did well today, Garner, in his central midfield position that he's played once again a really good role and seems to be developing into that role more and more each game.
Are you asking me about his performance or about the goal or
Well,
both
yeah,
of them?
talk me through the goal and how you saw that build up from Ghana.
Yeah, I mean, Everton didn't do an awful lot for the 20 minutes after the goal. I mean, they didn't push on and find a second goal immediately, but they made it difficult for us. They didn't break out of their shape. But I think in that last 5 minutes where the goal came from, they left a gap, and it was a very clever pass from James Garner. Just slowed it down. Didn't need to rush it. We're winning the game. Don't give it away. But he just kind of looks and he waits the right moment, plays that little ball in. You've got another midfielder in Harrison Armstrong, but making an overlap in behind, which he did 2, 3, 4 times today, which was really good to see into those channels. And Harrison Armstrong, he doesn't do what he did in the first half in a very similar position on the opposite side, where he tries to shoot across the keeper where the angle's narrow. He should have really squared that to Barry for a tap in. This time he gets it right. I don't know if he was spoken to at halftime or he just realised, but he gets the decision right to feed his striker for a tap in, and it's not just because it gets a goal. It's because Beto and Barry are just crying out for a goal. They're just they're playing. They're getting not huge amounts of service considering the players around them, but because they're isolated with strikers, with two defenders always around them, it's very hard for them to get free and to get a good clinical shot. So to get one of them a goal, I felt was essential. It does wonders for Beto's confidence. I would imagine the player that he is, he thrives off a goal. But it is made by Harrison Armstrong and James Garner, which are two players I thought were pretty outstanding in the game in terms of the Everton squad's performance, individual performances. James Garner, somebody who is obviously been told by Moyes to be that sitter, to try and dictate play. A lot of things start out from him, move the ball, find the right passes, probing passes. And I think he's learning from Grealish as well. Like he's the way his kind of manners, like it's not rushing it, it's just kind of getting it, making sure he feeds the ball correctly. The draw's coming up for the Carabao Cup, by the way, and we'll bring you that reaction as well. But Harrison Armstrong, as I said, he makes those runs in behind. He's got that energy. He does nearly look like he's going to give the ball away sometimes, so that's kind of risky when he's playing as one of the two in the pivots. But maybe as a 10, he looks kind of good, and he makes these runs in the channels and feeds the ball, and he's got intelligence. So do you think he's someone who we should keep around the squad this season, or is there just too many with Alcaraz, McNeil, and Grealish, and is there just too many players to keep him within the squad?
You mean Harrison? Yeah, I think that we are very blessed at this point in time, but with injuries and the need to compete for positions, I think that if we're going to have a good cup run, and we're going to start fighting for the higher places in the league and not get sucked into another relegation battle, then we are going to need to strengthen depth, and we are going to need to be able to do this rotation. Harrison Armstrong is obviously on the peripheral of the first team squad, and I think he was loaned out, and I think we should try and keep hold of him while we're still short on players. And he did well today to justify his place in the squad. Lots of changes, of course, for Everton. I mean, I don't know what sort of the biggest question I've got now is what's going to happen for Wolves away, because there were players who played quite well today that might have staked their claim. One of which might be Beto. We don't know who's going to get the nod up front, but he's take your pick now, and I think it's good selection, headaches for Moyes. But yeah, Harrison Armstrong, well, the squad's as relatively thin as it is. It's thin, but it's of better quality. So we've almost had a clear out and kept our best clothes. So it's kind of radical. Everton, of course, ball 29. I've just put that one up in this cup draw. I'm still waiting for that. Liverpool are ball 14. Chelsea are 9, Arsenal 1, of course. But we're still waiting for that draw because it got delayed because Manchester United have gone out on penalties, and that will be shocking. And I wonder if Aramin has got any more time left. Obviously, they're sticking to the plan there. But Moyes' former side knocked out in the second round. Can you believe that? The second round of the
to put it even more rub salt in the wounds, it was one of their major signings, Brian Mbeumo, who hit the bar from the penalty.
Yeah, I think he was the 10th penalty taker. Why would you spend £75 million on a player to take your 10th penalty away at Grimsby? Anyway, back to Everton. You just joined us. Maybe you come out the ground.
I think he must have been first up, Stevie, because Brian Mbeumo at Brentford, I think he scored all his penalties or nearly all of them. He usually does a hop skip technique. It's very effective. He's got a very high rate, but I don't know what he did, but I think he must have been, on the second rerun, you take a second penalty. He must have just gone for something different.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it was hard to follow without the sound. I actually thought it was over, and then it wasn't. So, it just seemed to go on and on and on. We've had some reaction to that game. It definitely looks like the most exciting of the League Cup, the Carabao Cup games in the FL. Second, of course, in this round, European sides are not partaking. There were some other games this evening taking place besides the Blues as well, and of course there was a whole load of games yesterday. But if you've just joined me, the Cup is coming up any minute now, so we wait with anticipation. And of course, we probably still want a home draw, of course. But the gates were 48,500, which is really good for a match like this. Of course, the new stadium is that kind of pull, and a lot of people have got their friends and family in, or people that weren't able to get a season ticket that have actually been able to go. And then people like ourselves who've got the season tickets, letting people that we know take the advantage of that priority. So cup draws coming up. Everton march on. The game that we play next is at Wolves, and of course there are some good selection headaches for David Moyes. There's a lot of work still to do for the Blues, because whilst it was good today, of course Brighton were also very, very good at the weekend, and then the scoreline would have disappointed them. There is what you said earlier, Dave, but the kind of urgency behind the play could be improved. But this is miles better than some of the stuff that we've been painfully watching for the last 3 years, where you just can't see where the next opening's coming from, and it's simply an easy matter to defend against Everton, because you knew pretty much you stop one or two players and you stop all of the threat.
Yeah, I'm just thinking back to previous Carabao Cup, League Cup games where I'm thinking how I would usually react, and sometimes I've come out of those games and thought,
well, it looks like we might have temporarily lost Basil, so we'll just go through a few of the comments while we're waiting. And he's not at the ground. He's like me, currently down south. But lots of comments going up around the Manchester United game, of course, earlier today, but which took a long time to get through, which is why it's still 10:40 at night and we've not had the draw, which we are now anticipating with a modest level of excitement. Of course, any cut draw, we want the Blues to go through, but of course, previous years have never been that great. Hello to our regulars, to Peter. Hello. Kevin, good to see everyone back. And of course, if you're wondering where I've been, I was in Japan for almost a month. I was following and then getting really into the Grealish news out there, and just couldn't even believe that we were getting a player of that quality. And it's just been really, really exciting since then. Everton finally starting to land some quality signings, and it's going to be taking some time to bed in, but it certainly allows us to be more optimistic about this season with players that are starting to look like they match the quality of the stadium. In case you're wondering, yeah, it was my first game at the weekend, and I was really wowed by the stadium, the atmosphere, and most of the things were really, really positive. Of course, access and logistics still work in progress, and of course, it's not so easy to get in and out of. But generally, my impression was really, really, really high. It felt like a little bit like the Spurs stadium, but it's got its own character, and it will create new memories for us. But it still felt very, very new, almost like an away game. So I'm sure we'll be discussing all of the outside of the game business at some of the point, but just seeing if I can pick up any comments that aren't about Manchester United, because the vast majority of them are actually. We've not got any news yet as of on the draw. We've been
No,
waiting.
Spurs got Doncaster. That's just come out of the hat. I did see in the draw they were showing this pre-draw as if so all the Europe sides are going to play winners of this round. That does seem slightly odd to me that they get priority. Was that always
So it's
the
almost like a seeding.
Yeah, it's like they're getting a priority seeding for being in Europe, even though they're playing the game. They're playing the game, so why do they need to be separated from each other? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. No idea. No
Making it
idea. But I
easy for them
suppose
to get
having
through.
seeds does give the draw that structure, and it creates well, it's not quite seeds, is it? But it certainly creates more intrigue, and you're less likely to have situations where big sides go out and so on.
Is
Yeah,
Liverpool at
Japan, for
home?
those commenting, of course, now has a link with Everton. Scoutings out there as well, and of course, we were linked with. Well, we have been linked with players with players all over the country, and of course, all over the world as well. Just going back to the draw, we just have that one game come through so far, which is the Spurs game.
The Shite just got a home tie against Southampton.
Right. So if they're at home, then we can probably work out when the Everton game will be, because it can't be the same week. Well, it can be. Could be the day after, to be honest.
Day
But
after, yeah.
their Champions League match will be one of those 2 weeks, and the other week will be the home game. So it could be that Everton get thrown on the other. I suppose we'll find out soon anyway. Where are you getting the draw from? Because my sources aren't displaying live.
Just using the same Sky Sports preview. Grimsby away at I've just missed it. They just got an away tie as a reward for beating Man U. Wolves home tie against us, I believe. Yeah, Everton will play away at Wolves. Tough game.
Very tough, and of course that's a repeat of Saturday's game. So it's funny how this works out. Look, it's not an easy tie, but it could be worse. It's just you just want a little bit of an easier tie than having effectively a strong Premier League side away from home. So yeah, thanks for bringing us that straight from the draw. Everton play Wolves.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that draw?
Well, it's away as well. I mean, in some respects, if it had been away but against a lower league side, obviously I would have preferred that. But it is what it is. You have to play them. But that's not an easy draw. But it could have been worse, couldn't it? It could have been one of the bigger boys. Wolves not in a massive.
It's not Arsenal. It's not Liverpool. There's not many. But it's only the third round. But it looks like Everton could have probably got one of the European sides, I suppose. It doesn't really matter. I mean, you could say that getting a European side is not necessarily a bad thing, because those sides would be rotating their squads to accommodate European football. although many do have bigger sides as well. Any other interesting ties while we've got this?
I mean, Wolves beat West Ham yesterday, but I don't know how much to read into that because of West Ham's really shocking start to the season.
Mm.
They've not had an amazing start to the season. It could have been worse. It's not. It's fairly local compared to what we could have got. We have to do it, but I don't see Everton going down to Wolves and winning both games, the league and cup. It's just not in there. It's just not in their
No, but we could do with a good. We could do with a really good cup draw. Just read out the draw. Port Vale play Arsenal, Swansea Forest, Lincoln Chelsea, Tottenham Doncaster, Brentford Aston Villa, Huddersfield play Manchester City, Liverpool play home against Southampton, their feeder side, Newcastle Bradford, Sheffield Wednesday Grimsby, Everton go out to play Wolves. As we mentioned, Crystal Palace play Millwall, Burnley Cardiff, Wrexham Reading, Wickham, Barnsley v Brighton, Fulham Cambridge. Still ties coming through, but I believe that might be all of them. But yeah, certainly some sides have been kept apart, maybe through this process. Where maybe you've got like the likes of Brentford Villa, our game, but the vast majority of Premier League sides are not facing off against each other, with some ties easier than others. But yeah, Everton getting a fairly hard draw, certainly for the third round. It's the sort of thing that you would expect maybe for the quarterfinal, but it is what it is. And we've got to put on a good show on Saturday anyway, and that will give. It's like a game of poker though, because it's like, well, do you think they have even a game, anything in mind about the cup game? Surely the league game is a priority anyway, and then it's 2 weeks later you're going to play the same team. But we've seen this before where the same team plays each other like midweek and then the weekend. I've seen that so many times.
Yeah, I mean, it probably won't be the same team, will it, that we play and they play? So it will be a bit different. So we'll just have to see, I suppose. It's too early to read into it. We'll have to see how they get on. They haven't had a great start to the season, and how we get on, whether we kick on from here with the 2-2-0s or we regress into a sort of lead style shocking display. I want Everton to be consistently picking up the wins like they are this week. Let's see what happens in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, just putting up some reaction to the Wolves away draw. The Blues go out to Molineux, and it's going to be the week of the 15th or the week of the 22nd of September. We don't know what day that week. So it could just be any day in the middle of September at this point. But no home tie. It's going to be finished at Wolves on the day. So no scramble for tickets, no ticket issues, and hopefully no delays. But Blues have got to do the business twice this month. Or is it? I think it's still August, actually, our game.
August,
but yeah,
just looking at previous League Cup fixtures of Everton's last year, obviously going out on penalties to Fulham, but did play Aston Villa in round 3. So another example there, away at Aston Villa, which we won. And the year before, we played also in round 3 against Premier League opposition in Bournemouth, losing that game. So Everton, the last couple of years, this will be 3 seasons now of a third round Premier League game.
Yeah, some comments great here from Icon saying that we've got to beat everyone, and Gas PP who says
you're it French. Gas PP.
Sorry, how would you pronounce that one?
I don't know. Gas pipe, maybe.
Yeah, sounds like a number 8 maybe that we're about to sign. I don't know. Have you heard of any other transfer news while we're just on?
CP. Yeah, nice little 8 who can play a box to box.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I love reactions like this one from Mark. It's just the rawness of it, really. It could be worse. Liverpool away, Arsenal away, you're out the cup almost, whereas Wolves away, it's a 50-50 tie, isn't it? But yeah, we've had some banter. We've also seen Manchester United go out penalties 12-11, I think. But more importantly, we've seen the Blues in front of a very strong crowd of just under 50,000 at the Hill Dickinson Stadium defeat Grimsby Town by 2-0. And I'd like to start by asking you, Basil, from today's match, if you've got any closing remarks or words, and then we'll talk about our look ahead to Wolves and the next streams that we'll be on.
In the game, I mean, we've kind of covered it. We're through to the next round. United are out. It's quite funny. Everton got the job done today. Great finish by Alcaraz, great performance, some really good individual performances, a lot more creativity. And what I was going to say before when I got cut off was that in previous years, my match reactions to these sorts of games would very much be, Everton couldn't string 3 passes together against Mansfield at home. It would have been quite negative, like, in a different sense. Very often Everton would still get the result. They would still get across the line in this sort of game, 1-0 or 2-0, which is the same result. But the reaction would generally be, that was boring. Everton couldn't even beat them very easily. It took till 75 minutes to get a scrappy goal. So at least today we saw the chances being created, and that's all you can ask for as a starting point. And then you've got to take the chances. So let's see how we can build on this.
Yeah, certainly more exciting times ahead, and it's a better time to be an Everton fan with this exciting new project that's underway with new owners, new investment, new stadium, a new team, and a new third away kit that's knocking around X and other platforms where it's received mixed reaction, certainly from my wife, who's not an Everton fan but had to become an honorary one. And we were joking about how well, dare I say it, terrible it looks. But anyway, on a positive note, and if you do like the third kit, then that's absolutely fine. Everton winning 2-0. I'm sure that everyone's still trying to get home, and if you've managed to join us, I do appreciate that. The reason is a simple 40-minute trip to Goodison Park became a 90-minute each way on the weekend, and I'm sure that we'll be dissecting through on a later stream the obvious infrastructure issues that have come up around, and no better person to do that with our architectural and environmental transport expert, Basil. But of course, today was all about the Blues, the first game under the lights, and it ended with Everton once again victorious by a 2-goal scoreline with goals from Carlos Alcaraz and Beto. So we hope for more signings, but the ones we've got are extremely good so far, and we're excited about the next stream. So join us for the preview of Wolves, which I believe will be on Thursday, which is tomorrow. But if it's not, it'll be Friday. I should really know this. But anyway, it will be in the next 24 hours. Sorry?
Probably Friday.
Probably Friday.
After
and whether you see a cat crawling across the screen on that one or a baby in the background, we'll be here to bring you how we see it lining up for this third league game as the Blues look to climb the table. Of course, we'll be fully behind the match and reacting both before and after with team news and possibly even a watch along, which we've started to do as well. We are circa 5,000 subscribers, and we do appreciate your company. But if you know anyone that is a toffee through and through, or has a remote interest in watching two loonies or more go on about a football team that has had its difficulties in recent history, with the last trophy just 30 years ago against, well, it was actually the Charity Shield, wasn't it, in August 95. We would love to still have your company. And of course, if you're a fan of the opposition, do put a comment in, as long as your comment is kind and not disgraceful. But yeah, do make sure that you help spread the word. But tonight, with the Blues ending this game into the lights by 2-0, It's from Basil and it's from me. It's from the Follow Everton team. And I'm going to leave you and say good night.